I am big on setting goals. Well, actually, there's like a whole thing to discuss on that because I actually realized I was doing the process completely wrong, but we'll get into that. But mid-year is just so fun. First of all, because it's normally the time where you've kind of forgotten what you said you wanted to do at the beginning of the year. And not only that, but for me personally, I love it because it's also my birthday. So it just like fits in super well. It's something I've been doing every single year, like a mid-year check-in and then like a check-in with my birthday, like how's life going? What do I want to do differently? So I read Atomic Habits and it was really there where it kind of just clicked that it's not about setting goals. And if you focus on setting goals, if you're a person that has always set goals, then you might have realized that you can do so much yet like write so many goals down yet accomplish nothing. And this book really talks about changing your mindset from setting goals to actually setting systems in order to accomplish it all. And it actually makes total sense. So for example, for business, I started following the Profit First system, which is from a book, and literally it changed my business completely to the point where from the first month that we started implementing it, we started hitting our goals. But it's not because we were doing something different to hit those goals, it's because there's literally a system in place. Hold on. Because there's literally a system in place to make sure that we're always profitable no matter how much is coming in the bank, to make sure that we're not spending on the operating expenses more than what we should. Like it's to the dot and it's on autopilot every month to the point where we don't even have to think about it and we're already hitting the business goals just by having set up the system. Okay, I'm sweating, but what I was saying is that not only have I set those systems in business, but also in my relationship. Like with Gabe from the beginning, we basically like set up systems to make sure that we're not fighting over the little things. For example, who's cooking, who's taking care of this and that translates over to the traveling as well. We both know, okay, Monday through Wednesday, I have to cook. The other days he cooks. Like it's the same exact thing. Therefore, those little arguments don't come up. Now, I've set all those systems for many parts of my life, but what I do need to work on is my personal life. I'll be totally honest, I definitely need to work on it. So I personally do this process on July 18th because it's my birthday. So every year what I recommend is around that July time frame to always come back to this video, because every year we should be doing not only like the usual annual like resolutions, but also the mid-year check-in, like how are things going? Do we need to change? What can we focus more on? So keep that in mind. Around July, just come back and let's do it together. Let me bring the notebook. All right, so the first thing that I like to do, step one, is starting from a space of gratitude. I don't know if I'm the only one that by this time of the year, it's like I'm panting to get like that mile run in. You know, when like you're just running and like you just can't anymore, you're like panting over to the finish line. That's kind of how it feels, unless I like stop and it's like, hey, calm down, like you've accomplished so much, like you're doing great. I hope I'm not the only one, but that's why the first thing I like to do is like, hold on. Instead of thinking like, oh, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing this, pause. Let's just be in a space of gratitude and think about all the other things that we have accomplished this year already. So with that, the first thing I'll do is just start writing like a letter of thanks. And when I start writing, a really cool thing is to actually go through my camera roll and just remember all these little memories that sometimes we don't have top of mind. It's like you did this, you accomplished this, you wanted to do this for so long and you finally did it. And sometimes we forget those little things. So I'll start writing my letter, dear blank. So I usually like doing it like to the year. So I'll write dear 2023, or if I'm doing it on my birthday, which is usually like the day that I like doing this whole process, I'll do like dear the last year. So this year, for example, I'm doing dear 26, which is the year that I'm closing. So I'll do that and then I'll think of like all those things that were just really special. That was honestly just so cool. I love those feelings. And it's so wild because I know that from the outside, you'll look and you'll be like, what? How could you forget like everything that you've lived? I mean, this year has been a wild year for me, where I'm doing so many of the things that I've always wanted to do. I'm traveling full time. Like, I'm getting to live in a different city each month. And it's like, how can you forget that? And it's not that I'm forgetting that. It's just that from the inside, like, we live so much. We have so many cool experiences that we don't remember like the same thing. No matter where I was, like, we always have those tiny details that we forget. And this happens to all of us, no matter how boring or simple you think your life has been, it actually hasn't. And it's those moments where you look back and realize like, hey, this has actually been super cool. All right. And then step 2 is to actually check your goals. So I usually like putting it on my phone because it's the easiest place to find. Like, no matter how much I like writing down, I change journals a lot because I write a lot. So the easiest place for me has literally been to keep my goals on the Notes app, which is always with me on my phone. So if I pull up the notes, so I have different folders right here, as you can see, and I'll go under personal, and then I have my 2023 goals. All right, so this is literally full transparency of the goals that I checked. Yes, now that I'm looking at them, some are very out there, you know, dream big or go home. But if we are setting these goals and we do want to make sure that we're creating these systems, let's also make sure that some are more realistic. Hitting at that 1,000, a million net worth. Haven't done that, and we're definitely not close, not even close. So was it too high? Yes, definitely, because even if I did set the systems, like, kind of have to be a little more realistic. Like, okay, am I, like, if that is my personal net worth, and full transparency here, like, what is under my name that is going to get me to that? If, let's say, if in my business, I know I'm not onboarding any new clients, if I'm not selling, like, how are we getting there? You know, definitely needs to change. Take a psychology course. It's definitely something a lot more realistic. I just have to find a good one. Storytelling course, also realistic. Haven't found one. So the way I would set systems to actually get this accomplished would be to have different milestones that I can start putting in my calendar, and we're about to jump into that, so that it's actually like implementable tips. I can literally break it down into 3 steps. Do research, like, okay, what are the options? Finalize and pick the best one, and then actually break it down into milestones so I complete the course the way I want to complete it. It's not just, okay, let me sign up for the course. No, I want to study this because these are things that actually interest me a lot. Business, so these are a bit different, and I'll tell you exactly how I strategize on this, because I've actually accomplished a good amount on this little category, and I do break it up into 4 categories. So personal, business, relationships, and wellness. And then the last one is a splurge, which I'll tell you what it's all about. So relationships, travel with mom. I did do a travel with my mom. Find 4 mentors. Working on it, but I haven't done that. Find 3 to 5 aligned friends. Check. That is something that I really wanted to accomplish this year. And I have felt like I've met really cool people, especially along this time traveling, because there are a lot of people that you meet and they are also working digitally and they understand like this and that. It's really cool. Wellness, toned body. So this is something that these aren't specifically set as in goals. You know how normally people tell you to set goals in something that you can measure, blah blah. If I wanted to, I could do this as like I hate giving this example, but weigh X amount. I don't think anyone should do that because that doesn't matter, and that's why I don't do it. But it's just in terms of wellness, I want to feel like my body is strong, and that means I have committed and put in the time to working out, and that's why I have a toned body. Not necessarily because I want to hit X amount or because I want to, you know, let's move on. Go to a retreat. So I haven't done that either. I want to. I've been looking into it, but I haven't finalized. Invisalign, I have started my Invisalign. I think I've told you guys. I don't have my retainer in because I forget, but I have started it. And then mole removal. So I want to do different mole removals, and I want to be very like on tune and like good with my annuals, especially skin checkups, because that's one that I didn't actually do for a while. And last time I went to the dermatologist, I actually had 2 or 3 different biopsies. So obviously, thank God, obviously everything came out good, but that's something that I'm like very like now like, okay, let's be good with our SPF. Like, let's actually be proactive instead of reactive on this topic. So that's for wellness. And then splurge, massage 1 time per week. Now, splurge is something interesting to look at, and I think it's something that should definitely be implemented by everyone. This basically means that you are treating yourself to something something that just feels like, hey, a pat on the back. Why? Because we work on such like a reward system. We are fueled by rewards, and if you're not, then congrats to you, but 99% of the population is. So whenever you feel like, hey, I'm working so hard towards my goals, like I'm doing something so amazing, what's my splurge? It can be taking myself out on a date to ice cream, going to the movies, watching my favorite show. For me, it's a massage because it really feels like that's the moment for like, hey, let's celebrate it. And then what happens, this is the coolest part, is that your brain with the reward system, just like animals work, just how literally like they've seen monkeys and any type of animal works, your brain is like, whoa, that felt so good. Let me repeat what's working so I can enjoy that reward again. It is wild, but if it works, sign me up for it because I'm here for it. And in terms of business, for those of you that are into the whole business oriented mindset and like setting goals, what I did all of last year was follow the 12-week year process, which is another book. Super, super amazing because that literally shows you it's not the goal, it's the systems that you're setting in place. And they break it down into, okay, what task are you doing and how can you make sure that daily you're doing the task in order to fulfill your quarterly goal, your monthly goal, your annual goal, etc. So things like that for me have been super helpful in order to land my business goals of land X and Y brand deals, work with this amount of clients. That has been super helpful and I have seen tremendous results. Now here comes probably my favorite part and the reason why I love doing it mid-year. Mid-year is kind of like that check-in of not only like, okay, where am I on these goals? Are they realistic? Should I change them? Am I on track to accomplish it? And just a self check-in like, hey, what do I want to change? So I personally wrote down 3 things that I wanted to change, not necessarily related to what I set that I wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year, but just looking inward, hey, how's it going? Like, what do you want to do differently? What needs to change? And for me personally, number 1 is that I'm spending way too much time on social media. Like I'm noticing it and I need to reduce it. So what I did, I actually just did this on my journal and I wrote down, what do I want to change? That was the first thing that came up. It's like I'm noticing that I'm consuming too much. I'm spending a lot more time doing that rather than the things that I actually want to be doing. Like for example, I can be putting more time into finding the storytelling and the psychology course to actually take it and finish it. So what can I do? And what I did was actually very drastic, but it needed to be done. I mean, I love social media. I love creating content and I'm not going to completely delete it, but I muted everyone. Like I muted 99% of the accounts, posts and stories. That way if I'm going on, yes, Instagram still shows like the recommended, but I'm not like it's there and I'm like, oh, there's no one else. So I'll close it and I'll get back to what needs to be done. Number 2 that I personally noticed, I'm not liking where I'm at and I want to put more work in is into my money mindset. So I had already taken a course on this and I have the full access to it. And I think that is one of the coolest things where you can go back and relearn and rework on something where in the past you noticed a drastic change and right now you're at a different spot and you want that drastic change again. So that is currently what I'm working on. So I noticed that there's something there that I'm not liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the course. It had like a lot of good information, it's basically a ton of journal prompts.